The room fell completely silent. Not because someone had raised their voice. Not because anything dramatic had happened. But because one unexpected sentence changed the atmosphere in an instant. The cameras were still rolling. Crew members continued adjusting lights. Assistants quietly moved across the studio preparing the next scene. Everything looked perfectly ordinary. Then Song Weilong smiled. It was not the confident smile everyone usually expected. It was smaller, more genuine, almost as though he had finally decided to stop hiding something that had been sitting quietly inside his heart for a very long time. Across the room, Zhao Jinmai noticed the change immediately. She had spent enough time working beside him to recognize the difference between a smile meant for the cameras and a smile that came naturally. This one was different. Without realizing it, she paused in the middle of reading her script. The pages slowly slipped to her side. Even the director sensed that something unusual had entered the room. Nobody interrupted. Nobody rushed the moment. Sometimes the most unforgettable scenes are the ones that are never written into the script. Song Weilong looked toward the large studio windows where soft afternoon sunlight covered the polished floor with warm golden light. For several seconds, he simply watched the city outside. Then he spoke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just honestly. He admitted that every project teaches an actor something valuable. Some projects improve technique. Some teach patience. Others reveal emotions that were never expected. Then he turned toward Zhao Jinmai. His expression carried complete sincerity. Working beside you reminded me that the best performances are not created by pretending. They are created by trusting another person enough to be completely present in every scene. The words surprised everyone. Nobody had expected such a heartfelt confession. Not a confession of romance. Not a confession filled with impossible promises. A confession of respect, of admiration, of gratitude. The studio became even quieter. One assistant lowered the clipboard without realizing it. Another slowly stopped arranging costumes. Even the sound technician smiled while pretending to remain focused on his equipment. The atmosphere had changed. Not because anything shocking had happened, but because genuine appreciation always carries unexpected power. Zhao Jinmai looked at him for several long seconds. She searched his face as though trying to decide whether he had truly meant every word. His expression never changed. It remained calm, honest, peaceful. She laughed softly. Not because the confession embarrassed her, because it reminded her of something she had nearly forgotten. The reason she first dreamed of becoming an actress. Before awards, before popularity, before endless interviews. There had simply been the joy of telling meaningful stories with people who inspired one another. Her eyes brightened. Then came the sentence nobody expected. I want it. The room froze again. Several crew members exchanged confused looks. The director raised an eyebrow. Someone almost dropped a bottle of water. For one hilarious moment, everyone imagined an entirely different meaning. Song Weilong blinked in complete surprise. Then Zhao Jinmai laughed even harder. I want that feeling again. I want projects where everyone believes in each other. I want stories that make audiences smile long after the final scene ends. I want to work with people who remind me why I chose this career. Relief spread across the room. Within seconds, the entire crew burst into laughter. Even the director could not stop smiling. The misunderstanding disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. Yet something beautiful remained. The conversation continued long after filming paused. Instead of discussing camera angles and schedules, everyone began sharing memories about the projects that had changed their lives. One actor remembered the first standing ovation they had ever received. Another recalled the fear of walking onto a professional set for the very first time. Someone admitted they still became nervous before every emotional scene. The stories continued, one after another. The room transformed into something more than a workplace. It became a gathering of dreamers who had all begun their journeys with hope. Outside the studio, evening slowly arrived. Golden sunlight faded into soft shades of blue. The city lights awakened one by one beyond the windows. Nobody seemed eager to leave. Song Weilong listened quietly while everyone shared their experiences. For the first time in weeks, there were no discussions about schedules. No pressure. No deadlines. Only laughter. Only memories. Only gratitude. As filming resumed later, that evening something remarkable happened. Every performance felt more natural. Every conversation sounded more authentic. Every emotional scene carried unexpected depth. The director noticed immediately. Without changing a single line of dialogue, the entire atmosphere had improved. Trust had quietly transformed every performance. When the final scene ended, the crew applauded without being asked. The applause was not only for the actors. It was for the feeling everyone had experienced together. As they prepared to leave the studio, Zhao Jinmai walked beside Song Weilong through the softly lit hallway. Neither of them spoke for several moments. Silence no longer felt uncomfortable. Sometimes silence says everything words cannot. Finally, she smiled. "Thank you." He looked surprised. For what? For reminding everyone that appreciation should never stay hidden. People spend too much time assuming others already know how much they are valued. Sometimes they need to hear it. He nodded quietly. Maybe that was true. Before stepping into the elevator, Zhao Jinmai turned once more. "Promise me something." He waited. "Keep saying what you truly mean. The world already has enough rehearsed conversations. It could use more honest ones." He smiled. "I promise." The elevator doors slowly closed. As they disappeared from sight, the director watched from the opposite hallway with a quiet smile. He had directed countless productions throughout his career. He had witnessed emotional scenes that audiences celebrated for years. Yet the most unforgettable moment had never appeared inside a script. It had happened between takes. It had happened without cameras searching for perfection. It had happened because two people chose honesty instead of silence. Weeks later, the project finally premiered. Audiences praised the chemistry. Critics admired the emotional performances. Fans discussed countless unforgettable scenes. Nobody realized that the greatest lesson from the production had happened long before the first episode ever reached the screen. It began with a simple confession. It continued with an unexpected reply. And it ended by reminding everyone that genuine respect has the power to inspire an entire room. Perhaps that is why certain moments remain unforgettable. Not because they are loud, not because they are dramatic, but because they remind us that kindness, gratitude, and honest appreciation can quietly change everything. If this story made you smile, share your thoughts in the comments. What would your response be if someone sincerely thanked you for inspiring them to become a better version of themselves? Share this story with someone who believes in the power of encouragement, and stay tuned for more emotional stories filled with unforgettable moments, heartfelt conversations, and inspiring journeys.